I've got a surprise. And whilst the title of this video might have given away what that surprise is, let's talk about it. To any regular viewers of the channel, this won't come as much of a shock given my recent training focus. I've spent a lot of time on the turbo trainer, I've spent a lot of time in the water, and whilst I haven't been able to run, as I recover from a stress fracture in my hip, there's 2 out of 3 components there, aren't there? It would be reasonable to infer that the decision to return to triathlon is as a result of the stress fracture in my hip, when in reality, it's a decision that I made about 9 months ago. So, join me here in Spain for a triathlon training day as I talk through what things are going to look like. So before we head in here for a swim, let me talk to you about why I stepped away from triathlon for a while in the first place. So in 2022, I completed the Keltman Extreme Triathlon in the Scottish Highlands and the Double Brutal Extreme Triathlon in North Wales. The Keltman is a 3.4k swim in 10 degrees Celsius water, jellyfish everywhere, a 202-kilometre cycle with over 2,500 metres of elevation gain along some of the North Coast 500, where the weather is known for its variability, shall we say. Followed by a marathon over 2 Scottish Munros, which makes up the high course. However, the weather was so bad this year that every single athlete, even if they made the cut-off for the high course or not, hit the low course, which wasn't hitting any Munros, but still had over 1,000 metres of elevation over the marathon distance, which is a pretty gnarly day out. Then I pivoted towards a much more endurance dominant goal, which was the Double Brutal, which was a 7.6 kilometre swim, a 373 kilometre bike ride with 6,000 metres of elevation gain, and an 84.4 kilometre run, a double marathon with 2,200 metres of elevation gain, inclusive of the highest mountain in Wales, Snowdon. The training for both of these events was immensely rewarding, but was immensely time consuming, antisocial and demanding, and this was a really pivotal period of building the business and just sort of making all this work really, where balancing those 2 things concurrently was tough. It wore me out, and getting to the start line of the Double Brutal was something I was very, very proud of doing. But after the event itself, I was looking to train towards some events the following year in 2023, but over the winter, whether it's because of the weather, whether it's because of the sort of come down effect, the post-event blues, I just couldn't connect with triathlon training, held on to it and made myself a little bit unhappy for a couple of months before just deciding, you know what, I'm going to focus on running and heavy lifting for a little bit before I decide what to do next. Since then, my input and demand with the business has increased massively and only recently has sort of been delegated out the way a little bit more. So triathlon has been a very difficult thing to make work logically without compromising elsewhere. However, I am now in a position where either A, I have forgotten how difficult and time consuming and disconnected from triathlon I was in the past, or B, things have been restructured in a way that I can go completely all in on what's to come. Okay, brief for today at this wonderful 50-metre pool is 15 by 100 metres. 60 seconds rest between efforts, simple as that, not too hard, not too slow, sort of CSS pacing, and we'll see how we get on. 5 reps in, between 136 and 141 per rep. Must admit, first time in a 50-metre pool in a fair few years, and the additional length makes all the difference, if you know what I mean. Nicely set at 141 per 100. Last 25 metres on each rep. Definitely feels like there's not a push off in the middle as there would be in a 25 metre pull. So, it's good to be back. Holding nicely at 139 per 100. Feels like I'm drowning the last 10-15 metres though, which is always good when you're swimming. Always good. Just for health and safety purposes, that isn't true. 14 down, 1 to go. Let's see if I can break 1 minute 40 on this last rep. 134. 134. Quickest rip of the day. Job done. What an unbelievable setting. Huge thank you to the staff for letting us film. Really, really kind of them. This is the first ever pool session that I filmed and been on the channel, just because it's so hard to film in swimming pools. So, oh.
Really went there. Torremolinos 50-metre pool, legends.
Okay, part number 2. In some of my sexiest attire, you'll be pleased to hear and in fact see, but we have taken the turbo trainer setup indoors, outdoors, and I'm a little bit worried that this heat's going to be the better of me, but all for your viewing pleasure, ladies and gentlemen. It's a wonderful afternoon, so I thought I might as well make the most of having access to this setup and crack on with what is going to be an interval session. I'm going to choose a pre-built Zwift session of choice, one that sounds interesting but not like it's going to destroy me forever, and crack on with that. Obviously jump through hoops a little bit to have turbo trainer and bike available to me, so Eat Sleep Cycle and Malaga are the ones that hooked me up with the rental bike and managed to source the turbo trainer for me, which is mega. So having this here to be able to keep momentum whilst I'm unable to run, just lace up my shoes and get out the door would be so easy here, but alas, I cannot do that. So continuing momentum towards my triathlon goals, which I will talk about very soon, is important. I'm stalling, let's get on the turbo. 10.5 minutes in, warm-up complete, and I am warm. The sweatiest I've ever been after 10 minutes of exercise in my life, I'm going to say, actually. So with that in mind, I'm going to say adios for now and lock into this session because it's going to be quite hard work. Working hard here. The heat's made a huge difference, obviously, but 10 minutes at zone 4 after 5 reps of 30 seconds at zone 5 and 30 seconds at zone 1, so sort of 5-minute ramp into the top 10 minutes, but it's just deconditioning. I haven't been doing tough turbo sessions like this for a while, so as is today's video, this is me returning to this stuff, so it shouldn't be easy, should it? Big set number 1 complete. Oh my God, that sure felt like a big set, but wow, what a difference as a pasty Brit having some vitamin D every once in a while. It's really, really good fun suffering in this setting. So I feel very fortunate, very privileged to be able to do exactly that, but yeah, I'm enjoying this. As hard as it is, I'm just so pleased that amidst this injury, amidst the plans that I've been working on for the past sort of 9 to 12 months, that I can still keep chipping away towards a projects in fact, that I'm unbelievably excited about, more excited about than anything I ever have been since 2018 when I first got into this world, which was when I first started fundraising for November and just kind of put myself out there saying I'm doing this fundraising project through a physical challenge event, and then just sort of built the wings as I fly from there. So I should probably focus on getting my breath back, but this is a good crack, albeit the most dehydrating experience I've ever had. No need to go to Finland for a sauna when you can just set a turbo trainer up in your garden in Spain. Five, four, tres, cuatro, uno. No, I've gone the other way. Yeah, I can't count backwards in Spanish. We've just learned. Anyway, I'm done. Wonderful. Okay, we'll report back on the data in a second. I can just save that there. End ride. Cool. Okay. So a swim and a bike, complete bike data on the screen for you just now. Let's take a walk. I'm sure you're all wondering what it is I'm training for. And you're probably wondering why we're this far into the video and you haven't told me, Fergus. Well, there's good reason for that, which is that ultimately I was due to announce what I'm training for next 2 weeks after the marathon, which obviously didn't go to plan on account of the stress fracture in my left hip. So with that in mind, I'm still building towards everything as planned, but just want to make sure I've got sign off from physio and orthopedic consultant before I start ramping up my volume towards what's to come, which is going to be all in 2026. I need a long training prep. I need to build my volume cautiously, and that obviously is dependent on a solid foundation, which I currently do not have. So whilst I'm building time in the pool, building time on the bike, there is a third component to triathlon that I can't currently do. So I want to make sure that I've got that rock solid before I announce what I'm working towards, because I very much hope that a lot of you guys can be involved in one way or another. I am incredibly excited about this, so I hope that you'll be patient and excited that in August, I plan at my next MRI review to be able to announce what I'm training for in February and May of 2026, with a lot of fun stuff along the way planned. So as it stands, I don't have any firm goals that I'm going to be sort of preparing for here on the channel. I am very much doing that, but just to make sure that everything's aligned, that all of the foundations are in place, both physically, logistically, financially, all of the things that are going into this project, please bear with me and be patient because it's going to be very exciting. So that is that. Let's head to a third active component of the day that isn't a run, but I guess makes today a triathlon. And we're going to talk about why I'm so excited to return to triathlon after a couple of years off. So whilst we're witnessing some very average golf at best, I would like to focus on the one thing that I've missed most about triathlon, and that is adventure, variety, exploration. Swimming, biking and running in different environments is something that I really enjoy. It gives me a higher quality of life, it gives me purpose, it gives me a bit of energy day to day. And marathon training, road running is great, but it does become very metric driven and binary. You're looking to control variables in your environment to make the training as specific as possible. And whilst obviously that's a huge part of triathlon as well, swimming outdoors, cycling in hills, going to a new place and renting a bike and just moving for the sake of moving, these are things that I miss. I'm driven by variety, I'm driven by exploration, and that's why I love golf, because traveling to new places, playing new golf courses, getting to spend time with people in new environments and enjoying moving for the sake of moving is something that I'm very privileged to experience. So I want to make sure that I avoid the trap of just becoming lasered in on the metrics and the metrics alone. So that's what I'm super excited about, returning to triathlon after a long period of running. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have done, please do drop it a like down below. Comment with any thoughts, feelings and or insights that you may have. What your experience of fast road running versus triathlon may be, if you have any, or if you've got any questions, do drop them down there as well. Thank you. Hit the subscribe button and ding that little bell icon whilst you are in the region too, and stick around because things are about to get exciting and I am very soon to announce what I am actually training for in terms of triathlon. Thank you very much and adios, amigos.